RPG Book Club, the podcast where you play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Hauk. You're bringing an energy today.
Yeah, I am.
And I'm Trish.
And Maddie is not joining us tonight. She apparently is having fun car troubles. So that's where she is at. So
I'm taking up the task as the token girl today.
Hell yeah. Now we need you to tell us all the girl insights to the game today, because that's definitely
yes.
That's definitely what Maddie brings, and not weird leftist energy. It's just girl things.
I mean, I could bring that too.
Yeah. But today we will be playing the next part of Persona 2. The 7th part of Persona 2 Part 2, Eternal Punishment. And this covers everything up till the scene on the dock after we leave the underwater ruins. But before we get to all of that, how's everybody's week?
My week has been something of a nightmare just because it's Hell Week at work.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to do a lot of work. A lot of work. More work than usual.
That stinks.
I don't like doing work.
Yeah,
I'd rather play video games.
So if you want to head over to the Ko-Fi and donate money so that Bernard can play video games professionally.
You're gonna have to donate a lot of money for me to do it full time.
Yeah, it's really only like every 3 months that we don't lose money on the podcast. So we're gonna need a lot more to go from losing to full-time job. Got a lot. But I am exhausted because yesterday me and Summer were talking and she was like, I hate the way that the living room is set up, because we had turned the couch sideways to like split the living room into 2 rooms, one of those rooms being my office, but then it made everything feel small and crappy. So we made it back into 1 room and made it work, which is awesome, except moving sofa beds should be illegal because they're really, really, really heavy, and I am a tiny wimpy boy, and I had to do all that yesterday, and then today was the rewire all of the electronics day, and it was a lot, and I don't like it, and I'm tired, and all of that energy earlier was faked because I'm tired.
I know that feeling.
But the feng shui we landed on with everything being open is fantastic, and like it felt like the whole family was hanging out while I was working today, which was awesome. It has good energy now. I'm glad we moved it. I just am tired of crawling around on my hands and knees and plugging in HDMI cables to my myriad screens. As everyone has seen in the Discord, I have like 12 screens in my office.
Nice.
Too many.
That is one hell of a mood. I definitely know what you mean.
Yeah. How about you, Trish? How's your week?
So on the one hand, I've been struggling with insomnia pretty bad. Like oscillating between barely getting any sleep to sleep deprivation, then building up to where I just sleep all day. So that's not a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, my parents stopped by. I'm one of the rare variety of trans girls who has a really good relationship with her parents.
Love that for you.
Yeah, my parents are amazing and supportive and wonderful. So it was really good to see them because they live fairly far away. We had a very good visit. I actually introduced them to a few of my girlfriends over video chat, and that went really well. Of course, on the other hand, the reason I felt the need to do that And the entire reason for the visit was because of some family medical stuff, which I don't want to get into here on the podcast, except I'm doing the thing of just trying to keep my brain busy with other things so I don't think about some news I learned. So hopefully this podcast will help with that for however long the podcast recording goes. Yay!
Yay. Now, instead of thinking about the news, you can think about Persona 2, Eternal Punishment.
That's correct.
Which we can talk about right after this short musical break. Every time Maddie isn't here, this fucking opening section is like 2.5 minutes long.
Yeah, and I get to talk.
Yeah. Bernard, what happened this week?
Well, at Balfu's lair, the gang listens in on a phone conversation between Tatsuzo and Young Pao. They discuss Shimazu and Togashi's deaths, and Young Pao demands the reward Tatsuzo promised. He says to bring the reward to the abandoned factory, which we might remember was a bonus dungeon in the previous game. Balfu is excited about the prospect of owning Tatsuzo and Young Pao, so he runs off without the rest of the gang. Katsuya asks Nanjo to do something related to Balfu. That's all we hear. Now we see that creepy conference room from the beginning of the game again. The scary old man with a cane is introduced as Tatsuzo Sudo, an executive of the New World Order. We're also introduced to General Sugawara, leader of the 15th Division of the Civil Defense Force and a director of the New World Order. The game says he seems to be ill and looks very pale. Tatsuzo speaks vaguely in a villainy way, asking if something is ready, and Sugawara says it should be a good test for X1. Some faceless New World Order dudes talk about a paradox and question Gozen's judgment. Tatsuzo shuts them up and reminds them that they are in Gozen's presence. He and the rest of the people there leave, except Kandori, who has been there the whole time. Kandori says some villain shit, and we see the creepy mummy head called Gozen. It's creepy. The gang catches up with Balfu, and they hide in the factory, watching Young Pao. He's waiting with a bunch of hired goons. Then a bunch of New World Order hired goons and a fucking Metal Gear show up and start owning them all.
Metal Gear.
Metal Gear. Young Pao escapes, and Balfu rushes after him. Katsuya calmly explains to Ulala that the bad guys knew they were being bugged, and that the phone call was a trap to kill the gang along with the Mafia. The gang goes through a dungeon looking for Balfu and Young Pao. We see the two of them in a standoff. Young Pao asks Balfu to let him go so he can kill Tatsuzo for his betrayal. Balfu says no, and they attack each other. Young Pao has 2 submachine guns, and Balfu has coins. Who do you think wins? It's Balfu. So yeah, Balfu throws some coins at Young Pao, and Young Pao keels over. So Balfu walks over to the bleeding Young Pao and picks up one of the guns. Young Pao asks how long it's been. Balfu says, 5 years. It still wasn't enough time to make me forget. See you in hell.
Wait. Does this count? Did he promise to never use guns again, and now he's about to use it? Is this if you squint, is this my trope?
I don't think he's ever promised to never use guns.
It sounded like it. I don't know. It sounded like, how long has it been since you held a gun?
I think it's just how long has it been since Young Pao did whatever it is Balfu
is mad about.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe so.
That's what I took from it.
Yeah, it seemed gun related, but maybe I'm just thirsty for that trope, and I was reading it incorrectly.
I think so.
Yeah.
Anyway, the gang runs in, and Katsuya says, "Stop, Saga." Katsuya reveals that Balfu is actually Kaoru Saga, a former prosecutor of the Sumeru Special Investigation Unit. Katsuya had Nanjo dig up dirt on Balfu. Katsuya says that 5 years ago there was an accident where a couple, a prosecutor and a secretary, died while traveling in Taiwan, but it was a cover-up for something. Katsuya asks if all this is to avenge Miki Asai. Katsuya says Balfu knew this was a trap and used them all to get to young Pao. Balfu turns the gun on Katsuya and tells him to stay out of his way. Katsuya says they need to arrest young Pao and get information out of him. Balfu fires the gun. A soldier who snuck in behind the gang falls dead. A Metal Gear walks in, and we have a boss fight against a Metal Gear.
Is it me, or does the Metal Gear have a katana in its hand?
It does.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. After the fight, young Pao identifies the Metal Gear as an X1, the General's pride and joy, but we're still going to call them Metal Gears.
Mm-hmm.
He says Tatsuzo must be at sea by now on his ship, the Nichiren Maru. He plans to release the Blue Dragon 2006 in the undersea ruins. Is it 2006?
I hope so.
Remember, dear listener, that releasing the dragons will result in the destruction of the world.
Ooh, December 7th, 2006. You got it right there at the end.
Nice.
Oh!
Young Pao dies from all those coin wounds. Balfu asks Katsuya what he would have done if he'd shot. Katsuya says he knew he wouldn't. It's not his style. Balfu says, maybe, maybe not. Nanjo says they can take his boat to intercept the Nichiren Maru because he has a boat because he's rich. The gang heads to the docks. There, Matsuoka informs the gang that the Nichiren Maru is undercover as a cruise ship, though the inside has been modified into a dungeon. Matsuoka says, the Civil Defense Forces Troop 15 and part of the Sea Division are in his pocket. The government has finally realized it, and the Public Safety Board and the Defense Agency are trying to grasp the situation. Matsuoka does this whole thing where he tells Nanjo not to do shit, and Nanjo tells him he's gonna do shit anyway. The gang boards the boat. We cut to the Nichiren Maru's submarine dock, where Chizuru and Kandori are having a sexy secret meeting. She asks why someone as great as Kandori would let himself be controlled by Tatsuzo. She says he should exterminate Tatsuzo and become the new leader. He's like, nah. She says Kandori's only concern is with them and that boy of the paradox. She's asked why he's so obsessed with them. The ship rumbles. Kandori says the paradox is here and all the players are in place. The two of them board a submarine and we see it depart the ship as an explosion explodes part of the deck. The gang boards the ship and figures that since someone's here fucking shit up, it must be Totino's. The gang heads into the dungeon. Eventually they find the creepy conference room. A map of the ocean floor is projected on the conference room floor, and they spot the undersea ruins. Katsuya is concerned about the weird shrine, and if I recall correctly, if you go and look at the shrine, Gozen's not there. But I can't actually tell when I was watching the movie version, so I'm not 100% on that.
This picture on the LP archive looks like there's nothing there.
Cool.
Yeah, I think they took Gozen with them.
Well, he's Gozen, not Stazen. We see a helipad where Tatsuzo is very slowly boarding a helicopter, surrounded by 4 Metal Gears. Totino's kills his way through some soldiers and yells, "Tatsuzo, what you believe is wrong. Don't be manipulated by him." Tatsuzo says this world must be punished. Totino's is like, "No, I'm the only one who needs to be punished." I'm like, okay. The gang busts in, and Tatsuzo bemoans the young people not liking his evil plan to create a world without original sin. Tatsuzo boards the helicopter, and the Metal Gears attack. Totino's takes one, so we have to take the other three. Remember how we fought one of them as a boss battle just earlier this week? Now we fight three, and it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
After the fight, Tatsuya is all angry sad boy and tells them he can do this himself and runs off. The gang goes back into the dungeon and eventually finds a submarine. The ship rumbles and Balfu realizes that Tatsuzo is trying to sink it. Totino's walks up piloting a Metal Gear and tells them to get on the submarine and get moving. Tatsuya's like, "Totino's, you can't pilot that thing. You only have your learner's permit." It's funny. Totino's hops off the boat and the gang follows in the submarine. They reach the undersea ruins, which are undersea but not underwater. I guess they're in some sort of cave thing?
Yeah.
They find that Totino's already arrived, destroyed the bad guy sub, and abandoned his Metal Gear. Ulala wonders if these ruins appeared because of rumors or if they've always been here. She doesn't know what's real or not anymore. They head into the ruins. Totino's busts into the room with the Blue Dragon 2006 seal and kills some guys. He's quickly followed by the gang. Kandori and Chizuru are there. Kandori says they're late. The seal has already been broken. There are 11 more throughout the world, and they've all been released. Chizuru says that now, by releasing the Kegare, the world will be obliterated. Right now, Gozen and Master Tatsuzo are headed towards Torifune. You've lost. Kandori and Chizuru attack. Totino's takes on Chizuru, while the gang takes on Kandori and 4 Metal Gears. After getting his ass kicked, Kandori says, "Magnificent, but it is not easy for one embraced by the shadows to escape from its grasp. Can you break the chains of fate?" Tatsuya says that's why he came. He'll never let that sadness happen again. Kandori says, "Hurry, before it's too late. This place won't last much longer." Nanja's like, "Come with us." Kandori's like, "No." The gang leaves.
I forgot that you're playing the brand spanking new PSP version because all of my stuff was off the PSX version, and all of these characters are Persona 1 characters, so they all have localized names. And I was like, who the fuck is he talking about? And I had to look it up.
Yeah, I was a bit confused for a little while as well.
Yeah, I decided to use the real names.
Yeah, they're definitely better than Guido and Ellen.
The gang leaves. Kandori tells Chizuru he regrets leading her to this end. She says she was just happy to be with him. The gang escapes, and Katsuya has to practically drag Totino's along because he's such an angry sad boy. They board the sub and leave the ruins as they collapse. Back on the dock, Katsuya asks Totino's what he's been hiding. Totino's angry sad boys at them. Balfu tells Totino's he's done enough by himself. Totino's then turns to Katsuya and says, "I'm not your little brother." Katsuya says he is, no matter what. Totino's asks if they'll back off if he talks. Balfu says, "Depends on what you say, right, Amano?" Amano is probably a better way to pronounce that.
Either way, it's fine.
Okay. I'm really bad at pronouncing names consistently. Like, I remember I was talking about a character named Anna, and I kept going back and forth between Anna and Anna.
Mm-hmm.
Totino's tells the gang to follow him to Alaya Shrine. which we will do next week.
All right, so let's listen to some more Persona 2 music, and then we'll talk about our memorable moments.
We did 3 dungeons. How was this short?
Because we didn't stop and talk about the plight of the working man for 25 minutes.
I see.
Yeah. But
I looked at the word count of one of our previous short episodes, and I looked at the word count of my notes today, and I was like, oh man, we're going to have such a nice, lengthy episode.
It's okay. We miss Maddie when she's not here.
Yes.
We do indeed.
But my memorable moments, so I of course highlighted the learner's permit line because it's really funny.
It's very good.
It's
amazing
fantastic.
how much of a narc Katsuya is and continues to be.
It's funny. It's like I on principle have to be like, oh, fuck this guy. But at the same time, he is a wealth of good humor.
Mm-hmm. I love it so much. And then also when Guido or Kendori, whichever one you want to call him, he says, can you break the chains of fate? I resoundingly answer, yes. Legend of Dragoon opens with the line, you are free to sever the chains of fate that bind you. So I am going to break the chains of fate. Thank you. I'm allowed. I have permission.
And I mean, we are JRPG heroes. We're probably going to break the chains of fate.
It's very true.
Kind of what we do.
But yeah, those were the 2 main ones that I had. Because we did 3 dungeons, I had a lot more NPC dialogue on the movie version today. So I skipped a whole lot through it. I did not stop and sample any of the side dialogue. So this is all that I have.
Mm-hmm.
What about you guys? What memorable moments do y'all have?
I weaved mine in. I like how Balfu brings coins to a gunfight and wins. I really enjoy Balfu's story this week. I think he's a really neat character, a character you don't really see in JRPGs, which tend to all be for babies.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a Megaten game. It's not for babies. It's for teens.
Yeah, I like the fact that we don't have a single teenager on our team this game, which doesn't happen in JRPGs. Everyone is 17 to 19, and the one random guy that is 25 and looks 45. That's usually what you get in RPGs. And then everyone here is an adult with a real job.
A real job like Tap Buster.
Let's see. I adore the scene of, once again, it's like, oh, there's a submarine, and Maya's like, oh, cool, I'll drive, and they're like, no. Specifically, Ulala stepping, going, no, I'm putting my foot down. We're not doing this again. It's just so good that, like, that joke, it feels like it gets more grandiose every single time they do it. And eventually the fact that another adult stepped in and went, I'm sorry, I'm just not letting this continue.
Yeah.
You keep endangering our lives. And also Ulala, who I just adore.
Yeah, Ulala is fantastic.
So you mentioned that the random old guy is 25, so I was like, I wonder how old Sid Highwind is. So I looked it up, and he's 32 years old. He is 1 year older than me.
Oh.
Jesus Christ. Because he's the quintessential old man in video game. He's crotchety.
Yeah.
And he's 32.
Yeah, I think the three of us have long since reached the point of being old for JRPGs.
Yeah.
Yes.
My other thing was just I think it's I was really curious and I kind of guessed it ahead of time. Was like, oh, so what's Totino's problem? And it's like, oh, it's this stupid freaking not stupid, but just the standard. Oh well, I'm not actually the person you know.
Yeah.
I somehow took his body or whatever. I'm from a different timeline. It's like, dude, shut up. You're almost identical to that version of yourself.
No,
Like
he this one has text boxes. That's new. He's not the Tatsuya.
taking over, being in a new timeline gave him text boxes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like I think it's funny that that's the storyline they're going with, and it makes sense. It's just as you've said, it's such an angsty teen thing of like, oh, you are so OP because you have all your skills from the end of last game, but wow, are you like still very much the teenager in the room?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 100%. He is still the little boy who skipped class to fix his motorcycle at the beginning of last game.
There should be a motorcycle mini game in this game.
Yeah, they accidentally sold it to Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, and should do.
It doesn't belong in that game, but it does belong in this one.
That makes sense. My only other memorable moment thing was there's just a line, and I've written down the line and I've forgotten who it's from, but there's a line, I think, towards Ulala regarding someone where it says, oh, you hate, do you despise him because you are ... a woman?
Uh-huh.
And I was like, that line is one of the worst I've ever read.
That is, if I recall correctly, from Kendori to Chizuru
right.
about
You're
Tatsuzo.
right.
Yeah.
Which I feel like has even less context because we barely know these characters.
I
if it
know.
was like, Ulala, do you hate Balfu because you're a woman? And it's like, well, in that she's a human, yes, because I don't think anyone would like Balfu.
No, not at all.
But yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, in general, I guess we did talk as much about them also, but that whole little plot between those two characters, I'm like, I feel like there's some interesting texture to these scenes that I'm enjoying. But like this villain from Persona 1 who's kind of back again now and then gets quickly killed, not even by us, but by protagonist from the first game. It's just like, or not first game, but the Persona 2 Part 1. Mm-hmm. He's just like, I don't know what makes him interesting. I can't like, it feels like his texture is, oh, well, he's the villain from the first game. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't play the first game, so I don't have any investment in this dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Stanley famously said every comic book is somebody's first comic book. So if you're going to reference something and pull it from lore, you got to have somebody stupid to ask questions that they should know the answer to because they have to answer them for the audience. And the writers of this game never talked to Stanley.
This is so true.
Yeah.
As someone who reads comics, that is a very true thing that you need to keep in mind. And yeah, this just in general does not follow that. You don't even have to do like a stupid like asking questions. It could literally just be like, you could make a scene out of characters talking about the trauma they went through the first game's experience. You have fucking Nate and the girl right there. I don't remember her English name, but you've got them both right there. They could talk about it and give us. So they just keep vaguely alluding in a way that gives us no information.
Yeah, we've run into so many characters from Persona 1 now, and none of them have ever been like, hey, remember how like we attacked and dethroned God like a couple of weeks ago? Like, remember that? That was kind of interesting how that happened. Not a single one. They're just like, oh yeah, we used to play the Persona game together, and that's all they talk about. And that's
Yep.
it.
I know a little about what happened in Persona 1 just from talking to one of my girlfriends who's, I think, played it, and it is just that sounds wild as hell. What do you mean a school went into another universe? Okay.
Yeah, but I can't remember her name either. Our party member from last game from Persona 2 Part 1. That was a
Yukino?
character. Yukino. I was thinking
Yukino, you mean the best character in this game who gets treated the worst?
Yes, absolutely. Like, she is Maya's friend. You can go and talk to her this whole game with Nate in your party. They easily could have used that as a like, hey,
special cutscene.
Last time on, remember when we went to a different dimension and fought the guy that we're currently fighting? It would make sense.
I think the problem is that I think if Nanjo told Yukino, hey, Kandori's back, I think Yukino would be like, well, let's fuck him up. And Nanjo would have to be like, sorry, only room for 5.
Yeah.
Like person Yukino's with, like, hey, I don't know what this is about, but you have work.
Yeah. That actually would be awesome. She's just like, oh, we got to go kick his ass. And then boss lady runs in and is like, hey, Yuki, you got to go photograph a concert or some shit. She's like, sorry, I have work. You got to go save the universe without me.
I mean, Maya's been blowing off work.
Yeah, but Maya is the kind of person who would blow off work. She just exudes that energy in every pore of her being. While Yukino feels like the put upon person who, yeah, she'll complain, but she'll fucking do her job.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got into the Persona series for this podcast, a lot of people were like, yeah, you should go back and play Persona 2 because it's awesome, especially Part 2, because it's the only Persona game that's not about high schoolers. It's about a reporter. And when they told me that, I was like, oh, that would make so much sense. The sort of stuff that I know about reporters, where she would be like on the case, trying to figure stuff out, doing her job. No, she has not done her job since the opening cutscene in which she walks out of the building from her job.
Yeah. Yeah. But this game has taken some turns.
It has. I like it a lot. I want to go back and play it at a leisurely pace, because there's a lot of dialogue in this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if it's just a difference in, because I'm going through the PSX version, not the recent patch. I don't know if it's just that, or if it is just some qualities of it being a sequel. I definitely like this game a lot. I've talked a lot about how interesting it is to have a JRPG with all adults and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like I generally preferred the first game.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm excited to see where this one goes. Who knows? It could definitely change my mind by the end.
Yeah. I think if I replayed it, I would play the new shiny PSP patch, because the battle UI in this game is ugly.
It's so bad.
The quality of life and presentation improvements in the PSP version are very, very nice.
Yeah, I definitely want to actually play this game. Eventually, Persona games are big, and this one is twice as big as most of them.
Yep.
But yeah, I've been trying to vamp, but this raw recording is 37 minutes long.
Oh my gosh.
So this is going to be the shortest episode we've ever done.
I had played another dungeon, and I had time to write notes on that dungeon, but I was like, no, this is plenty, and I don't know if they'll have time to go through yet another dungeon.
Mhm.
So let's just do the 3 dungeons. It'll
To
be
be fair, I don't
fine.
know if I had the mental energy to go through another dungeon.
Yeah, the Let's Play Archive said that the Underwater Ruins dungeon was big and mazy and boring. Is that accurate?
Yeah, and either the ship and or the undersea ruins had lots of places where you're walking and the floor goes out and you go down a floor.
A+ dungeon design.
Does the PSX version have a mini map at least?
No.
It does.
Okay,
It does?
I believe so. It's just not as good as 1.
Okay, because
I
the
didn't
dungeon
remember
that
it
did
having one.
the dungeon that did that in the first game sucked, but at least it marked the pits on your map. So if you just looked at your map, you could get through real easy. But if they don't have that in this PSX version, that would really, really suck. But yeah, shout outs to the people who just finished after like a 5-year gestation, the PSP fan translation, because the PSP version of this game is fantastic.
I love the PSP version of this game, and it's weird that it came out while we were playing it.
Yeah. 2 weeks in.
Very good timing. Honestly, people who do translations like that are a genuine godsend, and they put more work into it than I think a lot of people know, because translating from Japanese to English is not easy at all.
Yeah. And so in the before times, like when I was president of Anime Club in high school, fan subs were bad. All of them were bad because the people that did fan subs were weebs and they wanted it to be closer to the Japanese. That's where
Thank you.
That's where the fucking meme of it's all according to Keikaku means plan comes from. It's because that's what everybody was fucking doing in fan subs back in the day. And so fan translations sucked. Most of them suck because they were made from 2000 to 2013. But recent fan translations, every single one I've played has been fantastic and has actually gone the above and beyond to have an editor and those sorts of things, and they've been real good. So shouts out to every fan translation person that's been doing the thing.
Completely agreed. I'm very happy that with time, the segment of people who fan translate things, who are of we have to keep everything as close to the original language as possible, have been overwhelmed by the people who are like, why don't we actually make this readable?
Yeah, let's make it good, I guess.
Because like, I'm sorry, you can, unless you learn Japanese and read it in Japanese, you can't get the original meaning. That's just not gonna happen. The languages aren't compatible. If you want it to be readable in English, you're gonna have to change a lot of it, because English has different ways of doing things, and things that work culturally in Japanese don't work culturally in English. Sorry, you've hit on my pet peeve topic now.
Oh, I am right there with you. It's one of those things where, like, I used to think a translation was good if it kept the sans and chans and senpais, and now I think a translation is good if it doesn't do those things.
Exactly.
I think in some translations, keeping honorifics is appropriate.
Yeah. Like for instance, Persona games, because it's very, very much I go from calling you San to calling you Chan to calling you your name to calling you a nickname is how you track a friendship. And most Persona games are about teenagers becoming friends. And that sort of thing makes a lot of sense there. But if it's fucking like, if I was watching a Dragon Ball fan sub and Goku called Vegeta-san, no, it's no, that does not belong at all.
Oh yeah, and or like for me, a big one is I get so frustrated so often with the One Piece fan community because they'll be like, no, 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 we prefer it's bet just call them Nakama instead of translating it as friend, and it's like that's not a word in English. The closest translation is friend. Does it mean the exact same thing? No, but these characters aren't Japanese.
No,
These
they're pirates.
They're pirates. A lot of them are specifically supposed to be from more Western style societies. They are not. No, stop it.
Yeah, I really think that like fan translations started to be good after Clyde Mandolin finished his Mother 3 translation. I think that's when everyone was like, "Oh wait, the reason we liked all these games growing up is because they were translated by translators and not by some kids that say keikaku means plan in the middle of a sentence."
People make fun of Spoony Bard, but it's a memorable line.
Mm-hmm. It's
Ted Woolsey is the goat.
We really need to play Shadow Madness. We can have the full Woolsey experience.
I mean, listen, people love it when in Final Fantasy V, we love Gilgamesh saying it's morphing time.
But yeah,
I think that's everything.
I think that's everything we can slurp out of this episode. It was a big section, like even in the Let's Play, like it was not nothing, and yet somehow we just finished in 20 minutes. Well,
you'll need to interrupt me more.
We do, but your notes are well written, and you are an actor, so you perform them well. And I don't want to interrupt. I just want to listen. Maddie just doesn't care about you, so she'll interrupt every time she's here.
Yes.
But yeah, if you like what you heard today, you can check us out on the web at www.rpgbook.club, where any and all donations go to help us keep the lights on, offset game purchasing costs, those sorts of things. If you donate a one-off donation or at our $1 a month tier, you get access to our polls, much like this one. Aha! This is how we can make the episode longer. We get to talk about the poll that I'd completely forgotten. I didn't even have like the tabs up or anything, and until it just popped in my brain. It's voting time. We forgot that we vote on this podcast because this game has been so long. We're up to like what 14th episode on this game.
Yes, this is episode 14 on the Persona 2ology.
Yeah, so it's been a while, but we are roughly 2 weeks from the finale. So now's the time for everybody to go and vote. Since we did one really long game, 2 games, but we did a long cast, we're going to do a short cast. We're going to do 2 Zelda likes, both for the Sega Genesis / Mega Drive. So the voting is going to be between Crusader of Sinti, which is, if you haven't ever played it, it is somebody's like, what if we just made Link to the Past on the Sega? Like the presentation and a lot of it is very Link to the Pasty. And the other one is Beyond Oasis, which is also a Zelda-like, but it is not a straight-up ripoff. It is more of its own thing.
And might ask, if you're doing Genesis Zelda-likes, why aren't you doing Landstalker? And the answer is because this is our podcast.
Yeah. Landstalker versus Beyond Oasis, it would be these Sega Zelda-like one, but we hope that our weird-ass listeners are also weird like us and want to play Crusader of Sinti, so we put that one on.
As the Zelda fan who is the anomaly in not liking Link to the Past that much, I will still be interested to see where this poll goes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, every time we tell our weird little guys that are our listeners which one we want them to pick. They don't pick that one. I honestly thought that Breath of Fire 4 was going to get like a unanimous vote, and instead we all played Lunar because I told everybody that we should play Breath of Fire 4 because it's the PlayStation RPG I want to go play the most, and they were like, too bad. So
you should start trying to game the system.
I should go and donate all of the Ko-Fi that we get per month to the Ko-Fi, like launder that money so that I can have my own votes. That's what I'll do. But yeah, by the time that you hear this, for those that aren't listening live, by the time that you hear this, there will be a link up for you to on the Ko-Fi where you can go and donate to get access to vote on the poll to tell us which one we should do. So yeah, you can do that at the $1 a month level, or by doing a one-off donation. You get access for the next 30 days, and 2 weeks is less than 30 days. So you can, if you only have $1 to spend, you can throw us a one-time $1 and still be able to vote. If you up that donation to the $5 a month tier, not only do you get to vote and get access to the Book Club no Kaseki episodes early, which you could do before. I think I forgot to say that. We also will read your name at the end of every episode. So shout outs to AARon524, Cerebral Wind, Anthony Lerma, Vimk, JFro Prime, Eli Bergmas, Doho, and Tuxedo Ken. And then if you really, really like us and want to bump your donation up to $20 a month, you become a luminary, which means we read your name and also a one-sentence shout-out of your choosing. The idea was for this to be like your URL, like your website or your Twitch stream or whatever, but our luminary Car is not a streamer. He's a dentist, so his shout-out is for your own mouth. And he says to brush your teeth twice a day, most importantly, the time right before you go to bed. For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Hauk.
And I'm Trish.
Toodaloo, folks.
Bye-bye.